The reason that we're here tonight, the reason that we're having this workshop is because we are in a financial crisis. That should come as no surprise to any of the council members and a lot of the people in this room, because we've been discussing this and working on the solution to this process for several months now. It became clear, and we'll go over some of the details of how we got here in the subsequent presentation, but it became clear shortly after the beginning of this fiscal year that we were spending significantly more money than we had coming in. For a variety of reasons, our revenues are not keeping pace with our expenditures. We've been spending more money and drawing down our reserves since the budget was adopted in June. We initially thought that we had 8% reserves. We made our first report to you in July. We indicated that we probably had closer to 6%. At that point, we began a corrective program designed to reduce our expenditures, and the results of that program we're going to review with you today. What I wanted to do right now is not go into the details of that, because we'll do that as we get into the presentation and talk about the details of that. But I wanted to talk to you about the severity of the financial situation that we're dealing with, because this is truly a crisis for us. And what we're dealing with today is nothing less than the fundamental solvency of the organization that is the city of Chula Vista. We cannot continue our current expenditure level and expect to remain solvent as an organization. We will be insolvent by the end of this fiscal year. What that means is that we will have exhausted our reserves, and we will be in a serious financial situation. There's a word for it. It's a word that I've avoided using, but anybody that has any type of financial situation who's spending more money than they have coming in, doing it consistently over a long period of time, has exhausted their reserves and their savings, knows that there's no good end to that situation. We are at that point right now. We have fundamentally exhausted our reserves. They are at minimal levels. We are continuing to draw them down, and we have got to control our spending. We have got to reduce our spending if we're going to stabilize the organization and rebuild it for its long-term financial health. There's no other way to do it. It's not rocket science. There's nobody hiding any expenditures. There's no programs out there that are Fed programs. What I've asked is that every member of the organization participate in this program. Every department has submitted their cuts. They've done it in a way that I feel produced a balanced program of cuts, of reductions that allows the departments to maintain their core services and maintain services to the community. Is this a difficult program? This is a hugely difficult program. All of the department heads sitting behind me have participated in this program, and I think I'm correct when I say that not a single one of them, myself included, is happy with the cuts that are before us. They're difficult cuts. They're cuts that we need to make. They required a significant amount of financial discipline to put forward, and they required hard decisions. They required decisions on how we can begin to live within our means, how we can reduce our expenditures so that they equal our revenues, begin to stabilize, to stop the hemorrhaging of money, and stabilize our operations, and then begin to rebuild our organization. That's what this plan does. The plan before you does exactly that. It's a difficult plan. It affects services. The service reduction, the services that are before you are real reductions in services. They're real closing of libraries, they're recreation programs that are going away. They are clear reductions in services that the public will no longer receive. I will tell you that the fundamental reason that we're doing this is in order to maintain the long-term financial health of this organization. You're going to hear a lot of people tonight who will talk to you about concerns about specific programs, about specific positions, about the cuts of 2 people here, of 5 positions there. If we don't do this, if we don't get in front of this financial crisis now, if we don't solve this problem, we will back here talking not just about 6 or 9 or 10 cuts, we're talking about hundreds of cuts that will be facing this organization. Nobody wants to be there. We've already been downgraded once by Standard & Poor's, Moody's, and Fitch. The reason for that was because of our low reserves and because of the continuing expenditure that's continuing to draw down those reserves. I've met with them. I've talked with them on the phone. I've talked with representatives who are analyzing our condition at Moody's and Standard & Poor's, and I've told them that we have a plan that will be in effect by the end of the year that will address the problem, that will stabilize our finances and allow us to begin rebuilding the organization. And that's the plan that's before you today. I don't want to be melodramatic about this. I don't want you to think that I'm overemphasizing the problem. It is serious, it's imminent. Every day we're spending more money than we have coming in. It's not we have for the last 2 years had to borrow money to make our payroll. We've had to borrow money in order to pay our expenses on a monthly basis because we didn't have the reserves adequate to fund our bi-weekly payrolls. We need to stop that. We need to begin to reestablish our organization, fundamentally sound financial background, and every employee in this organization has a vested interest in the long-term health of the city of Chula Vista. We owe it to them, we owe it to the citizens to reestablish that financial health and maintain our services, not just for the short runs, not just for 1 year or two, but for the long run. And the program that I'm outlining begins to do that. What I'd like to do now is turn the presentation over to Edwin